Shantam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Matasha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We are doing the Panchadasi, 7th chapter, Trupti Deepa Prakaranam of Vidyaranya Swami, where right now he is analyzing that who is a knower or who is a doer. So from the point of the total consciousness which is all pervading, therefore it is of the nature of Satchidanandam and it is one without a second. So from its reference point or from Brahman point, there cannot be any knowing, because knowing involves a modification, because I did not know before, now I know. So it is now a modification of my state, because before I was Ajnani, now I am a Jnani. So that kind of modification cannot occur at the from Brahman level, because Brahman being infinite and it cannot undergo any modification. And secondly, there is nothing other than Brahman, because for me to know something, the knowing thing known things has to be different from me, who is a knower. So there is a duality involved. So in the Brahman, there cannot be a duality of that nature, because it's Ekameva Advitiyam, one without a second. So Brahman cannot be a knower also. So therefore, from the point of pure that Kutastha Chaitanyam, means that part of consciousness that is falling as though, quote unquote, on the local BMI, it is Sakshi, or we call it Kutastha Chaitanyam. That cannot be a knower, because it is nothing but pure consciousness which is infinite. And at the same time, he said the Chidabhasa cannot be knower, because Chidabhasa is a reflected consciousness. So it is the same consciousness as though getting reflected by a medium. So it is a consciousness coming around, but so from the point of Chidabhasa, it is being nothing but consciousness only in the form of a detour consciousness, and therefore it cannot be a knower. But you see, what exactly is a knower then? The body, the reflecting medium being inert cannot be knower also, because it's inert. So what exactly who is a knower? It's a puzzle indeed. So actually from the point of analysis, it is mithya. Mithya means it is not really real, so it's apparently real. So depends upon from what reference state we are talking about, the knower is different. From the point of an individual who doesn't know anything, he says, I am the knower. So when he says, I am the knower, who is the knower there? It is obviously the buddhi. The intellect is what he claims as an I am the knower. So for all practical purposes and for all across the board and for generations, we take that buddhi is our knower, knowing principle. So from that reference, it is the inert medium. Although it is inert, we consider it is alive or activated. Buddhi is the knower. But if you go into deeper analysis, once you are exposed to Vedanta, we understand that I am is a subject and buddhi is also an object of my awareness. So buddhi is also that I know. That means I am aware of my thoughts in my mind. So I know what I know, and I also know what I don't know. That means I know the ignorance, viditam va, aviditam va. So whatever I know, I know. Whatever I don't know, also I know. Because do you know Gaga Bubu? I don't know. But how do you know that you don't know Gaga Bubu? I know that I don't know Gaga Bubu. So the ignorance also I know, knowledge also I know, and I am different from known and unknown. So in that sense, the buddhi now using a discriminative intellect, that means a viveka, I can now differentiate. I am not even the buddhi. But how am I differentiating that I am not the buddhi? Using the buddhi only. So I had to use the buddhi, intellect, to say that I am not the intellect. So because I can see the intellect with the intellect only. So this is has to be understood correctly. Therefore, who is a really knower is always a puzzle. So we shift from the initially from the buddhi as a knower, then we go to next level. Since it's not the buddhi, it is activated buddhi. Activated by what? It is made alive as though activated buddhi is illumining. Knowledge is like an illumination of discovering something, removing the cover through a pramana. So now who is a knower? It says it is a chidabhasa. Chidabhasa means an activated buddhi becomes reflected consciousness or upahita chaitanyam, upadhi sahita chaitanyam, with the upadhi, with the buddhi, but activated. So just as who is shining in the sky in the night, it is the moon is shining. So moon by itself doesn't have the luminosity, but we say moon is shining even though we know moon cannot shine. So this is the same way Chidabhasa is illumining even though Chidabhasa is by the buddhi cannot illuminate anything, but it is an activated buddhi, or in the same way is a activated moon that's really shining, because moon doesn't have a shining of its own. Activated by what? Activated by the sunlight. In the case of moon, it is as though activated by the sunlight, it is become a luminous entity. Activated by consciousness, buddhi has become a conscious entity. So therefore, we say it is Chidabhasa, but Chidabhasa cannot occur without the original light. So moon cannot be activated unless there is sunlight there. So sunlight and the reflected light we cannot really differentiate. As I give an example, looking at my hand, the white light is falling on the hand. That's why you are able to see the hand. Without the light, you cannot see the hand. So when you are looking at the hand, it is actually reflected light by the hand that you are seeing. That's the process of how perception occurs according to science. And I cannot distinguish that the original light that is falling on the hand and the reflected light through perception, but I have to use a viveka, that a discriminative intellect, and to differentiate what is the original light and what is the reflected light, knowing very well my hand is not a luminous entity, and the luminosity or the reflection are able to see that because of the reflection, and the reflection is due to the original light. All that is implied in this process here. Now the papers got mixed up here. So it says, what is that consciousness? It says now we can analyze Anvaya Vyatireka using the Anvaya Vyatireka logic. We have to discriminate what is real and what's not real. Real is that which doesn't undergo any change, and unreal is that which undergoes a change. For temporally we say unreal actually means there is no locus for its existence, like Vanjaputraha is really unreal. What is that which is seen, experienced, at the same time which does not fall under the category of real? That means it's changing. That means anything that is changing is experienced, but because how do I know how it's changing? Because I know it's changing. That means I'm experiencing the changing things. Therefore, just as the ring is changing into a bangle, when I melt the ring and make a bangle out of it. So therefore, whatever that changes is experienced, at the same time it's not real because it's changing. So that which appears to be there, but at the same time it is not really there, since it is changing, really involves that which doesn't undergo any change. Only infiniteness cannot undergo a change, and that's Brahman. So Brahman cannot undergo any change. Anything in the world is continuously changing. That's why we call it a Jagat. Jayate, Gacchate, iti Jagat, that which comes and goes. So everything is Jug is changing, and continuously morning comes and evening comes, and every hour things are changing. And it's amazing. We say we cannot recollect back the past second gone. So a new second is coming. It's a wonder every time. And if you pay attention, it becomes a continuously changing time. But only thing that changes is the observer who doesn't go along with it. I can sit back and keep looking at the time and the world and everything changing. And here he uses that as an example to identify I am the real changeless entity in the changing things. What are the changing things? From the waking state and the dream state and the deep sleep state, these three states are changing, but the experiencer of the waking state, experiencer of the dream state, experience of the deep sleep state, the states, even though they are changing, the experiencer or illuminator, because of which I am conscious of the waking state. Say, I am in the waking state, I am a waker when saying, because I am experiencing the whole world. When I go to dream world, I am a dreamer because I am experiencing the whole dream world. When I go to deep sleep state, I am experiencing the deep sleep state. How? As the absence of the subject-object duality is going to be discussed in the 11th chapter of Panchadasi. So, from that reference, I am also a knower of the deep sleep state. So, I am a knower of the waking state, knower of the dream state, knower of the deep sleep state. I don't change, even though states are changing. So, everything that changes will not belong to me, because I am the one which remains the same in the waking state, in the dream state and the deep sleep state. That I am is a Sakshi. Sakshi means it is consciousness illumining the three states, and that I am is changeless entity. Even though I attribute that I am the one who is waking, who I awake, I am the one who is dreaming, I am the one who is deep sleeper, but I am neither a waker, nor a dreamer, not deep sleeper, because I am illumining the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state. I am not changing. So, I cannot be waker changing into dreamer, dreamer into changing into deep sleeper. All that has to be cognitively has to be analyzed and understood. That's why Viveka is important to get the actual truth of the Jnanam. So, he is analyzing the three states of experience and say how I can shift my attention by using a discriminative intellect that I am the changeless entity, and that is what the whole Mandukya Upanishad is on that, and it goes into the mantra 7, which says anta pragyam na bhahi pragyam no bhayata pragyam na pragyana ghanam na pragyam na pragyam adrishnam avyaharyam agrahyam agrota. All that statements are about I am not a waker, I am not a dreamer, I am not a deep sleeper, I am not in between, dozer, and all that is being neglected. This Chaturtham Manyanti sa Atma Savijnaya. I am that, as though people call it a fourth state, but it actually pervades all the three states, and that's being discussed now. This is in the sloka 213 that we'll chant now. Jagrat Swapna Sushupti, Jagrat Swapna Sushupti, Adi Prapancham Yat Prakashate, Adi Prapancham Yat Prakashate, Asushupchadi Prapancham Yat Prakashate, Tad Brahmahamiti Jnatva, Tad Brahmahamiti Jnatva, Sarvabandhai Pramuchyate, Sarvabandhai Pramuchyate. This is coming from the Kaivalya Upanishad. He is quoting a Kaivalya Upanishad statement. So, actually in the next one is the Kaivalya Upanishad. So, he says Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti, Adi. So, Jagrat waking state, Swapna dream state, Sushupti the deep sleep state, Adi etc. Prapancham, Prapancham says that which is continuously changing, that is the whole universe, the world of waking world and the dream world and the deep sleep world. Yat prakashase, that which gets illumined. Illumined is that because of which I can see. So, when a pitch dark room, even though the chair is there, I cannot see. Why? There is now no light to illuminate. So, I need besides the object, I need something to illumine, because the object is not self-luminous, because it is inert. Therefore, that which because of which the object is illumined, the illumination of the object depends upon something other than the object, because it is not a self-luminous entity. So, what is even the light that we put is not self-luminous from the point of consciousness because it's inert. So even though the light is there, light doesn't say that I am there because it's not a conscious entity. Consciousness has to illumine even the light also. So everything in the whole universe is known only because consciousness has to illumine. Consciousness may not bring the object there. I don't bring a chair and then see the chair, but chair is there not by local creation of I, but it is Ishvara Srushti. But even though it is Ishvara Srushti, I had to keep my eyes open and see. Only when I see, then they say, yes, there is a chair. So existence of a chair is established by the knowledge of its existence. I am not bringing the chair, but I am only establishing its existence. That is because a consciousness entity has to illumine. So the whole world of the waking world, dream world and deep sleep state also, including deep sleep state where I went to deep sleep state in the completely dark there, what I say, I don't know anything, but that I don't know anything that I know, because there is an illumination of the absence of the subject-object relationship in the deep sleep state. That's called Akhanda Akara Ajnana Vritti. Because in the morning when I get up and say, what do I do? I slept very well. So what did you see there? I didn't know anything. I didn't see anything. I don't know anything. So I don't know anything itself is a knowledge. That's called the Anupalabdhi Pramanam. So absence of an object is also a knowledge. So when you say, go and see if there is a chair in the room, you come back and say, there is no chair there. How do you know? I don't see. So I don't see abhava. So because of the absence of the chair is being presence of the absence of the chair is noticed, and that's also a knowledge also. So here everything is illumined, including the darkness of the ignorance of the deep sleep state, because I know that I did not know. Since I get up in the morning, I say, I know that I did not know anything about it. I did not know the world, but I did not know myself also. Existence of self as well as the objects too. So the yat adi prapancham yat prakashate, that which illumines all that, tat brahmam iti jnatva, that brahma aham iti, that Brahman that illumines the waking state and the dream state and the deep sleep state, that is Brahman. That is the why Brahman, how did Brahman come into picture? Because Brahman is of the nature of pure consciousness. And the consciousness is the Prajnanam Brahma. We went to the that's a Mahavakya. We went statement that Prajnanam Brahma means consciousness is Brahman. So consciousness is Brahman is presented, the scripture presents it in a converse statement. Converse statement means it is a necessary and sufficient condition. Just as when I say I give example about the sugar. Sugar is sweet. So sugar is sweet. Sweetness of the sugar or sugar has to be sweet. So it is a necessary requirement. If it doesn't taste like sweet, but it looks like a sugar, it is not sugar. Sugar means it is necessary that it has to be sweet. So it is sweetness is a necessary attribute of the sugar, but it's not sufficient attribute. For sufficiency, we said converse has to be applicable. This is a mathematical rigorous requirement. So converse means sugar is sweet. Sugar is sweet is direct statement. Sweet is sugar. Sweet is sugar is not really true, because sweet can be sugar or equal or aspartame, what you call, or sucralose, and so many things can be sweet without being sugar. Therefore, it is not sufficient to say sugar is sweet. So for that, for me to know that when something is necessary and sufficient, I have to use a converse statement. But here the scripture uses the Prajnanam Brahma, consciousness is Brahman, by saying that it is necessary and sufficient also. That means wherever there is a consciousness, it has to be Brahman. So if I say I am a conscious entity, that means you are Brahman. But I don't think I am Brahman because the Brahman means infiniteness. So infinite. So I don't feel I am. That's a different problem. You don't feel infinite because you take yourself what you are not as I am and claim that I am not infinite. So here says, understand what is the nature of I am, that is Tat Brahma Aham iti. This is the from the scriptural Mahavakya statement. Iti Jnatva, having known this, Sarva Bandhaihi Pramuchyate, all bondages are being removed. That means the bondages is what? Say, how if I know that I am Brahman, how can the bondage go? Bondage is because of not knowing that I am Brahman. Brahman involves Sat, Chit and Ananda. I know I am existent, I know I am consciousness or conscious entity, but what I am looking for is not existent and consciousness. All my life I am looking for happiness only. So I am going after this and this and that without recognizing that happiness is coming from my own self. And happiness, real happiness is Anantameva Anandaha. That limitless alone is happiness, because any limitations causes suffering. Therefore, Aham Brahmasmi comes because I am not only Sat, I am Chit, but I am Brahman. I am infinite. Then only the longing for the happiness will stop. Logically also I am the source of happiness, because happiness is not in the coffee or in tea or so on, because different people get different happiness from different objects, and same object doesn't give happiness to everybody. So I obviously should prove that happiness is not in the object itself. So therefore I have to say my dependence on other than myself for my happiness is bondage. So bandham is my dependence on other than myself. That's called slavery. So that the liberation is depending on own myself, because I recognize that I am full by myself. There is nothing I need for me to be happy, because I am the very source of happiness and I am also complete and full. Therefore, there is nothing other than myself. Therefore, with that recognition, all the bandhas means the samsara is gone. The samsara is only for looking for happiness. I am looking for happiness all the time, life after life after life, and from millions of janmas. What for? Looking for happiness. But if you are the only one who is happy there, without recognizing it, once I recognize that Aham Brahmasmi, then Sarva Bandhaihi Pramuchyate. All bondages are left, are gone. Now we will go to next sloka. I think this is from the Kaivalya Upanishad, 117 is this sloka from this Jagrat, Swapna, Sushuptu, Adi. So he is quoting the scriptural statement here. Now we go to 214. Eka evatma mantavyo, eka evatma mantavyo, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushuptishu, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushuptishu, स्थानत्रयव्यतीतस्य पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते एक एवात्ममन्तव्यो जाग्रत्स्वप्नसुषुप्तिषु स्थानत्रयव्यतीतस्य पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते. So Jagrat, Swapna, Sushuptishu Eka eva Atma Mantavyah Sanatraya Vyatitasya the Punarjanmana Vidyate. So here this is perhaps the quotation from the scripture. So Jagrat, Swapna, Sushuptishu, in the waking state and the dream state and the deep sleep state, Eka eva Atma Mantavya. There is only one Atma, one self. One self is projecting both the subject and object, both are coming from the same source. So as the adhishthanam of the world itself I am, as the subject also I am. The subject object duality both are arising from me, but I take I am a subject and this is an object. That's because of my confusion only. So ekam eva atmam vyoho jagat sushuptisu. So mantavyaha, this has to be contemplated upon. So mantavya means here I had to contemplate means I had to think that using the mind. Mantavya means I had to use the mind vicharavya. So I had to inquire and using the mind that I am going through waking state and a dream state and a deep sleep state. States are changing. I am the same one. In fact, I am pratyabhijna. I can recollect the childhood is gone, the adolescence is gone, that I am mature, maturity is going, I have become being older. This is the things, body is changing, mind is changing, intellect is changing, but I am the same person who can recollect my childhood experience, who can recollect, because the experiencer and the experience has to be one and same for recollection. That's a law of memory. All that, if I keep thinking that vichara is required, inquiry is required, who is that changeless entity in the changing things? And therefore, that is ekam eva atma, that one alone. Ekam eva atma mantavya. This has to be contemplated on. This has to be analyzed. So, tad vijnasasva, tad brahmeti. You have to inquire what is that nature of that. And this is that which is your. So that's why Brahma Sutra starts Athato Brahma Jignasa. So therefore inquire into the nature of Brahman. So inquire into the nature of Atma, because Atma is not different from Brahman. All that is implied in the Vedanta. The implication is you have to inquire. By inquiry only knowledge will come. Because the truth is self-evident, but it doesn't come because it's covered by ignorance. Ignorance can only be removed by proper means of knowledge. Pramana is required, and therefore ekamevatma mantavyaha jagrat swapna sushiptashu sthanatraya vyatitasya. So sthanatraya vyatitaha asya. Therefore it is different from sthanatrayam. Sthanatrayam is three states of experience. It's different from that. That's why the Mandukya Upanishad says Nanta Pragyam Antapad. I am not a waker, I am not a dreamer, I am not a deep sleeper. Nanta Pragyam, na Bhahi Pragyam, no Bhayata Pragyam, na Ubhayataha Pragyam, na Pragyam, na Pragyam, na Pragyam, na Apragyam. This is essentially that I am neither ignorant nor knowledgeable and so on and so forth. And there is that which cannot be seen, adrasyam, that which cannot be known, that which cannot be agrahyam, and which cannot be perceived. All that, because it's not an object for me to see. So all that is emphasized in the Mandukya, most beautiful scientific Upanishad that the scriptures have provided, and that which says Jagrat Swapna Sushiptashu Ekam Eva Atma Mantavyaha. Sthanatraya vyatitasya, that which is different from. The difference is only that I say gold is different from a ring, gold is different from a bangle, gold is different from a necklace. If I say not that I have two things, ring and a gold, bangle and a gold, necklace and a gold, then it becomes Advaita. It is from the gold they came, by the gold they sustain, and into gold they go. Yet it is different from the gold. The ring is different from a gold, and if you say it's only ring and a bangle are only names and forms with attributes of the ring different from attributes of the bangle, those attributes belong to only the Nama Rupa only. Rupa means attributes. Form includes Shabda Sparsa Rupa Rasa Gandhas. All the five attributes that the senses can measure, and all that is coming from only from the Nama. Say Vacharambanam Vikaro Namadeyam. So scripture says it's only Namke Vasta creation, and that is essentially what it says in the Sthanatraya Vyatisasya Punarjanma Navidyate. So therefore, one different from all these three experiences. I am there, that is Chaturtham Manyante. That says Prapanchopashamam Shantam Shivam Advaitam Chaturtham Manyante Sa Atma, that Atma, Sa Vigneyaha, that has to be known by Mantavyaha, by inquiry. For the inquiry to make, mind has to have the capacity to inquire. So therefore, a prerequisite for the mind is to develop the capacity to inquire, because it's a subtle inquiry. Just as for any science, you have prerequisites. A child who doesn't know any basics of the physics, and he says, he sits into the quantum mechanics class, he will know only A, B, C, D there. If you say E is equal to mc squared, he may know E, is know m, and he knows C, but doesn't mean that he understands E is equal to mc squared equation. Same way, the same problem is, I can repeat the mantras, it's just as it is neither this nor that, but if my mind is not prepared, I can only quote the mantras, but it doesn't make much difference here. So one has to be prepared the mind. So sadhana chatushtayam is required for the mind to understand what is being pointed out. Now we go to 215, where again going from the Kaivalya Upanishad, sloka 118 in the Kaivalya is being repeated here. Trishu dhamasu yad bhogyam, Trishu dhamasu yad bhogyam, bhokta bhogascha yad bhavet, bhokta bhogascha yad bhavet, tebhya vilakshanaha sakshi, tebhyo vilakshanaha sakshi, chinmatroham sadasivaha, chinmatroham sadasivaha. Together, Trishu dhamasu yad bhogyam, bhokta bhogascha yad bhavet, tebhya vilakshana sakshi, chinmatroham sadasivaha. Trishu dhamasu, in all the three states, bhogyam, bhokta, bhogaha cha. So here, so bhogyam, the objects of enjoyment, bhokta, the enjoyer, and bhogan, the means of enjoyment, bhogaha cha. Enjoyment itself, bhogaha means enjoyment itself, objects of enjoyment, the enjoyer and the enjoyment itself, the fulfillment of that. Triputi, that means they are always in all this karta, karma, kriya, in all this called triputi, knower, known and knowing, and these are three always there in all transactional or in the both in knowledge and in the action in the transactional world. So Trishu dhamasu, Trishu dhama means in the triputi, in all the three things, and here is giving yad, that which is bhogyam, bhokta, bhogascha, yad bhave, that which is forming all the three. That means that which manifests as these three also. You know, I am the bhokta, I am the bhogyam, I am the enjoyer also. It's called the pramata chaitanya, prameya chaitanya, prama chaitanya, and pramana chaitanya. It's called four chaitanyas that are discussed in some of the texts, and here it is called the Trishu dhamasu. So here triputi are being, triputi means triad. Triad means knower, known, knowing, doer, doing, and then action, and so on. All this involves three aspects, and in that Trishu dhamasu, that which is that forms all this, tebhyo vilakshanaha sakshi. A sakshi is different from all the three. I am neither a knower, nor a known, or a knowing, but that because of which all the knowing takes place. That's why Krishna says the maya tadamidam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina, mastani sarva, all beings are in me. At the same time, najamastani bhutani, all beings are in me. So mastani sarva bhutani nachaham teshu avastitah, but I am not affected by their modifications. So even though they are all in me, I am unaffected because I am asangaha. I am untouched by the modern things that are undergoing transformation. So it is called vivarta transformation. Vivarta means that which appears to be there but not really there. It is just, as the scripture quotes, as a gold becoming into ornaments. Gold still remains as a gold. It is untouched by when it forms a ring or a bangle or a necklace, but it is a transformationless transformation. It's transforming, but it's not really transforming, and that's what has to be. Tebhyo vilakshanaha. So what is the gold? It's not the ring, it's not the bangle, it's not the necklace, but it's because of which ring is, bangle is, necklace is, and so on. If I give, then I have to use the discriminative intellect to discover the gold in spite of the names and forms without destroying the names and forms. I don't have to destroy the ring to discover its gold. In and through the ring, I have to see where the gold is. That's what is called ontologically they are different. I don't need a destruction of because the transformation is not a destructive transformation. Gold doesn't get destroyed to become ring, but called parinamam. It is only vivarta. So therefore, tebhyaha vilakshanaha sakshi. Consciousness is something different from all that. So simple example I give is light is illuminating my face, light is illuminating my hand, light is illuminating chair, or light is illuminating space around. So that which is different from what is being illumined, but because of which everything is getting illumined, that is the real light. So I had to shift using the reflections only, because without reflections I cannot see the light. So using the reflections only, I had to shift my attention from the reflecting medium to that because of which reflection occurs. In the same way, I had to shift my attention from the Vishuddhamasu, say 3 states of experiences, 3 states of knower, known, knowing, but that because of which knower exists, known exists, and knowing principle exists, and that because of which the consciousness of the known and the knowing takes place. All that is has to be analyzed using the vichara, with the mind only. Tebhyo vilakshanaha sakshi chinmatroham sadashivaha. I am of the nature of chinmatra. Chinmatra means pure consciousness alone. Chinmatra means that which is pure consciousness. But pure consciousness, obviously we are talking about existent consciousness, not non-existent consciousness. So that consciousness has to exist. That means that Chit, which is same as Sat. And existent consciousness cannot be anything different, because existence is infinite. Consciousness is infinite by scriptural statement. That infinite has to be the Ananda also. So that is Satchidananda. So even though it can be referred from the point of one side as existence, another side from the consciousness, another side from the Ananda also, it is called Sakshi. Sakshi means witnessing consciousness that illumines that which part, that part of the light, that is original light, that is falling on the local buddhi, is what call it Sakshi. So I am called Chinmatraha. Chinmatraha means pure consciousness alone. Is Sadashivaha. Sadashivaha means that always there, and Shivaha, that which is most auspicious. Here is most auspicious also. Therefore, that is my nature. Now it goes back to the original question. Who is the experiencer then? So we started with, it's not the Kutastha Chaitanyam. It's not the Chidabhasa. See, now he concludes first that it is Chidabhasa, and because any experience involves a modification. Just now he said Sakshi. He says that, because again he negates back. He says, why all this negation and contradiction? Because there is no real fact there. We are only analyzing the apparent things. So apparent, depending upon from what reference state you are looking at it, is what the problem is. So one has to be careful here in terms of analyzing here. Who is the experiencer then? Here the Chidabhasa is pointed out. 216. Evam vivechite tatve, evam vivechite tatve, vijnanamaya sabditaha, chidabhaso vikariyaha, bhoktrutvam tasya sishyate. So here, say, evam vivechite tatve, in this way, how one inquires into this manner, in this way. So one inquires what is the nature of, who is the knower, if one inquires. Vijnanamaya sabditaha tatve, vijnanamaya sabditaha. So the meaning of vijnanamaya is understood as Chidabhasaha, is reflected consciousness in the or activated buddhi, is the inquiry, because one has to inquire, and inquiry requires a process, and the process involves a pramana. All that is implied here. So I have to use the buddhi, and a buddhi that is not inert, but buddhi that is activated as though by the Chidabhasa. It will get activated because buddhi has a capacity to reflect, and consciousness is always there. So reflection of the buddhi is always there, and as long as the life is there in the body. So if the life is not there, buddhi is just buddhi is not there, it is gone because it's a subtle matter, only the brain is left. So we have to differentiate the brain and the buddhi, and brain and the manas. So the brain is a matter, the gross matter, whereas the buddhi and the mind or the ahankara, that ego and all that called subtle matter according to Vedanta. So is the mind a matter or doesn't matter? According to Western, there is a lot of discussions are going on. Psychologists say something, philosophers have a different opinion about mind, and the question is it a matter or does it matter? But according to Vedanta, it's crystal clear, it is a subtle matter. Subtle matter means, what is subtle matter? That which cannot, where you cannot use the gross material. Anything that is inert is a matter. Anything that is conscious entity is the pure Sat. And there is only one, that is Ekameva Advitiyam, that Aham Brahmasmi is only one conscious entity. Even the mind is an object. Anything that can be objectified is a matter. That's a Vedantic definition. And therefore, the evam vivechite tattve, like this one inquires into the nature of the reality. Vijnanamaya sabditaha. So what is that which is the meaning of the Vijnanamayam? That is actually discussion in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad between the Janaka Maharaj and the Yajnavalkya Rishi. Chidabhasaha vikari. So Chidabhasaha, the reflected consciousness, is the one which is vikari, is the one that undergoes subject to modification, because knowing involves a modification. So tasya bhoktrutvam sishyate. So tasya bhoktrutvam sishyate. That by process of negation, because we negate the sakshi is not a knower, the mind cannot be a knower. The mind activation because of the consciousness that is illumining is the real sakshi, is the real knower. When you say, who is illumining the objects on a full moon night? So when I go outside, I see objects in the full moon night. So who is illumining? Oh, it's the moon is illuminating, because I can see in the moonlight all the objects there. If you go for more fundamental, it's a sunlight only, sunlight falling on the moon, getting reflected and falling on that and coming to my eyes. So I am only seeing sunlight only. But for the practical purposes, I can say it is the moonlight that is really illumining the objects. That's why Chidabhasa, you need illuminating the objects for me to know. So who is doing that illumination? Who is the knower? It is Chidabhasa. That's what we say. Now we again ask question. You just now said Chidabhasa was not the illuminator. Now again you are back to Chidabhasa illuminator. What's all this confusion and contradictions and all that? This we will take up in the next sloka. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.